iHeartRadio is taking you backstage with Kane Brown in Quebec City.
Y'all get ready. Girl, let's go put some miles on.
Meet him, interview him, an iHeartRadio experience you'll never forget.
Turn up the night like that radio.
With flights, hotel, and $500 included.
Be like that. How we feeling tonight?
For your best chance to win, enter daily at iHeartRadio.ca.
Thank y'all so much. Yeah.
Kane Brown's new album, The High Road, is available now.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hi everyone, I'm Naomi Kyle and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week we're catching up on God of War celebrating 20 years, Xbox's new handheld, Silent Hill F's new trailer, and Niantic sells Pokémon GO. We've got all of this week's gaming news. Let's get to it. One of the largest acquisitions in gaming history just happened last week when mobile gaming publisher Niantic sold Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, and Pokémon GO to Scopely for $3.5 billion. Scopely is the publisher of the successful mobile game Monopoly Go, which made roughly $1.5 billion last year, outpacing mobile games like Roblox and PUBG as the second highest grossing mobile game of 2024. Fans of Pokémon Go are concerned what this acquisition could mean for the legendary mobile game. Ed Wu, the head of Pokémon Go, released a statement to steady the nerves of Pokémon trainers who are shaken up by the acquisition, saying, "Scopely expressed a deep admiration for this community and our team. I have every belief Pokémon Go will further flourish as part of Scopely. Their focus will be to support our team, providing resources to continue delivering the gameplay you all know and love." As an added measure of comfort for fans, the Pokémon Company still owns the Pokémon IP, and as a result wields a firm grip over the contents of Pokémon Go. But that doesn't mean Pokémon Go is out of Viridian Forest just yet. Scopely's financial success is due in large part to their business model that prioritizes monetization in their mobile games, meaning that trainers in Pokémon Go could feel a tighter squeeze to spend their hard-earned money on in-game items in the future. An exclusive story reported by Windows Central suggests that the Xbox handheld that Microsoft is developing will operate more like a handheld PC. The Xbox handheld codename Kennen is said to look unmistakably Xbox, meaning that the handheld will likely uphold established design elements of the Xbox brand. Surprisingly, the Xbox handheld is anticipated to release later this year. So I think it is fair to expect that we will see an official announcement from Xbox very soon. In more Xbox news, next-gen Xbox consoles are believed to currently be in production and are set to release in 2027. Historically, we see a console refresh about 7 years, give or take, so I don't doubt that we'll see new Xboxes in 2027. But what will make them different from this generation's Series X and S? Well, Windows Central believes that the next-gen Xboxes will more closely resemble PCs than ever. It is believed that the next-gen Xboxes will be capable of playing PC games by hosting third-party storefronts like the Epic Games Store and Steam. Microsoft looks to be hybridizing PC and console gaming much in the way that Nintendo synthesized handheld gaming with console gaming. I think Xbox is headed in the right direction. This shift could be just the thing Microsoft needs to put the Xbox name back in the mouths of gamers hungry for something new. In just a few days, on March 22nd, the first God of War game will officially be 20 years old. And to celebrate, Santa Monica Studios is introducing a free in-game update for God of War Ragnarok that they're calling the Dark Odyssey Collection. The collection is a gift to all of the players who made God of War a continued success over the last 20 years. When the update goes live on March 20th, players will be able to access the collection from any Lost Items chest in the base game. There are 17 items in the collection, and all of them feature clean, black and gold accented skins for weapons and characters. But the celebration doesn't end there. Retailers like Dark Horse Comics are expressing their love for God of War and publishing a retrospective chronicling the development of the God of War series. The online art gallery Cook and Becker have commissioned artists to create art prints to celebrate scenes from the God of War games, and the most impressive of these collaborations comes from Laced Records, who have committed to pressing a 13-piece vinyl box set that encompasses 20 years of music from the God of War series. During the latest Silent Hill transmission presentation, Konami focused on highlighting their next entry in the Silent Hill franchise, Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F was first announced during 2022's Silent Hill transmission, and in the 3 years since, there has been no new news about the game or its story. Last week, Konami revealed a new 3.5-minute trailer revealing previously unknown details. Konami's official description of the game reads, "When Hinaku Shimizu's secluded town of Ibisugaoka is consumed by a sudden fog, her once familiar home becomes a haunting nightmare. As the town falls silent and the fog thickens, Hinako must navigate the twisted paths of Ibisugaoka, solving complex puzzles and confronting grotesque monsters to survive." The game's story is written by Japanese writer Ryukishi 07 and is set within the fictional town of Ibisugaoka, which is based on a real place in Japan called Kanayama. Silent Hill F does not yet have a release date, but the trailer confirmed that it will be released on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 was a groundbreaking achievement for the game's developer Saber Interactive and gaming as a whole. On the day of its launch, Space Marine 2 attracted over 2 million players, and after just a month, Space Marine 2 had sold over 4.5 million copies. Today, Space Marine 2 has sold more than 6 million copies, and Space Marine's publisher, Focus Entertainment, wants to continue the excitement fans have for the Warhammer 40K universe by greenlighting production to solidify the Space Marine games as a trilogy. CEO of Saber Interactive, Matthew Karsh, confirmed that Space Marine 3 is in development, saying, "Space Marine 2 has proven to be a transformative game for Saber. It is the culmination of everything we have learned about game development in our 25 years in the business. We are now starting to develop Space Marine 3, a game that carries with it tremendous expectations from our rapidly expanding fan base." More information on Space Marine 3 is expected to be revealed at a later date. In the meantime, fans can enjoy a steady stream of new content for Space Marine 2, including Horde Mode, which is expected to be something like Call of Duty Zombies, but set within the Warhammer 40K universe. And now it's time to go over the video games releasing this week.
Games out this week.
On March 18th, 33 Immortals releases in early access on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and is available day one on Xbox Game Pass. Rainbreaker and Verballs release exclusively on PC. Then on March 20th, Wreckfest 2 and Mudborne crash onto PC. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition breaks free from the Wii and releases exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. Assassin's Creed Shadows creeps onto PS5, PC, Mac, iOS, and Xbox Series X and S. On March 21st, Bleach Rebirth of Souls cleanses the PS4, PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land, casts a spell on all platforms. And on March 24th, Dark Deity 2 and Folklands set up camp on PC. The Epic Game Store is offering just one free game this week. Jurassic World Evolution 2 will be available for download on March 20th until the 27th.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest. Kahlief Adams joins us to chat about the next generation Xbox consoles, Pokémon GO, and a new direction for Silent Hill.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hey, Kahlief, welcome back.
Hey, so good to see you and hear you. How's everything going?
It's good. I mean, we have a lot of news this week. I don't know. Things are starting to get more newsy. There's more stuff coming out. There's some great games out right now. And then, we have Summer Games Fest coming up. So, but I guess midway through March, what do we really have? Just some speculative stuff for the most part. What do we have here? A new report that Xbox, the handheld that they've been talking about and teasing is coming out this year. What do you think about that?
I hope. I mean, that would be great if it did. I think, in the space of where we are right now, I think Microsoft coming in with a dedicated handheld would shake things up a little bit, with Steam Deck kind of being the main device now alongside, which I would think, honestly, is like PlayStation Portal. That's my actual thing that I use the most right now as opposed to my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But it would be great to have a Microsoft version of that in the world and seeing how that potentially connects to new things that are coming down the pipeline. So yeah, I'm here for it. I needed to hurry up with it. Give me that Xbox wrapper on whatever this device is, and we can go.
Yeah, I'd love to just test it out and see what it's like. Funny you said Kinects too. Remember that thing?
Oh yeah, it's sitting right next to the Ouya in my
Back in the
in my
day.
closet.
Yeah, that's some inside baseball stuff. But part of this report, it also said that Xbox would be potentially starting production next year for their next generation of consoles. What do you think? Does this make sense for the usual next gen, like the usual scheduling that we have experienced in the past? And are you surprised that Xbox is actually like still focusing on hardware at this point?
Well, yeah, I think one, we have to definitely put a big caveat on there and say this is all speculative. We don't know what's actually happening. Supposedly 2027 is the date or the year where we'll get a new piece of console gear out of Xbox and Microsoft. I mean, it makes sense in terms of where we are right now. I think cycles have gotten shorter. We've had more mid-gen refreshes that we've seen in previous generations. I mean, I think it was really actually pretty smart for them to not do a mid-gen refresh like PlayStation did with the PlayStation 5 Pro. I think you take all of that R&D and then stick that right into the new console instead of kind of, messing around with the market and saying, all right, from the Sony perspective, they're like, we gave you this Pro and now you're going to still want to buy a 6 at some point. I don't know how you market and message that. So I think, the biggest part of that conversation is less about the timing and more about their ecosystem of where they're going. And I think that conversation really sparks so many different avenues for conversation of, they had this is the Xbox campaign that everybody lost their minds over, the conversations about games moving platform and how does that change them from being what people usually consider to be one of the big three to potentially being more of a third party publisher. So there's lots of conversations for them to kind of figure out and how they want to talk about that. But I think I'm excited always for new hardware. New hardware is never going to be a thing I'm not hyped for. Just a matter of like, what do we see and where do we get it and what is it going to look like?
Yeah. How do you think, you did mention the PS5 Pro, how do you think that did for Sony overall? Like, do you think that we should, and what about this shortening of the cycles?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like I have one, I bought one and ran out because I wanted that extra boost in power. And I think, when you wind up having a system like that, I don't really go back to my other PlayStation that I have and check out and see like, all right, did this game feel different on this system in comparison to what the PS5 Pro is trying to market and be as a part of its feature set? Is like, you're going to be able to play these games better, faster, with a kind of more stable frames per second at 4K resolution. And I still feel like that mission is still kind of there. And I still don't think we're going to get there until potentially the PlayStation 6. So I think, I don't know how it's doing for Sony because they are pretty quiet about their numbers, but it has felt like the overall feeling from the community is that this was an idea that didn't necessarily fully come to fruition. And for the folks who do have one, they're happy with it, but they could be happier if it kind of really nailed all the things that they had talked about. So, I don't know how that positions them for moving forward. I think everyone will be excited for PlayStation 6, but I think the thing that will drive that will be a game like GTA 6. Right.
Yeah.
Like once you have that game that shows the differentiation between the base unit and the updated unit, then we'll have a much larger conversation and discussion point about like, is it actually doing what it needs to do for the biggest game on the planet? We'll see how that works.
Right. We'll see how that works, how that goes.
Yeah.
Shifting gears a little bit, Pokemon Go has sold. So the Niantic, the company who owns Pokemon Go, has sold the game to Scopely, the makers of Monopoly Go. Generally speaking, why do you think this happened? What are your thoughts? Does this mean anything is different for people who play Pokemon Go?
The biggest question I have would be, for a game that was so huge, like Pokemon Go was a cultural moment.
Yeah.
At its height. And I think those conversations about like getting outside, it was like, mid-pandemic and things were like, in that space of like, all right, everybody go outside, or like pre-pandemic and then into pandemic.
Yeah.
Has that changed the way player movement has actually worked in that game space? Does that mean that, folks are kind of retreating back to their usual ways of playing mobile games like these geolocated kind of games? That's a big question for them. I think revenue is always a conversation as well of like, how do we discuss, is a game kind of on its downtrend as opposed to, stabilizing or moving or going up? And I wonder if that's a thing too. I mean, Scopely has done a fairly good job on Monopoly Go, and I think a lot of people enjoy that game as well. So I think this is probably just a money conversation in the grand scheme. Like, you know, when you have a depreciating asset, you probably want to get rid of it when you still have some value, right?
Right.
And
Well,
seeing
it's
how
up.
you can do it. Yeah. Well, get it while it's up. You know what I mean? Buy
that's
down, buy low, sell high, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I feel like this is probably that case for them mostly.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. What did you think? We got a new trailer, Silent Hill. You know, this new direction for the Silent Hill franchise. Silent Hill F is the game. What do you think of what it looked like? I thought it was really beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's that really beautiful macabre kind of like, you know, there was a game that came out super early on PlayStation 2 that was like in that same space. I can't remember the name of it. It just escapes me. But anything in the Silent Hill universe, I'm for. You know, anytime you bring creepy little kids into spaces, like I'm down for that. That's always going to be a fun time when you're talking about horror games. And I'm just excited for this kind of new direction, at least this kind of pivot point for Silent Hill. Like we've been very, very used to, you know, one dude walking around looking for his dead wife in a town full of fog.
Yeah.
This changes that in a big way. And as a big horror fan, like I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. I'm dying to play this thing.
Yeah, and it looks like they're taking it to Japan too. So they're going to be exploring that. Do you think it's a smart direction for the franchise? Like, do you think that fans will enjoy it? Like, do you think there's hype?
I think there's hype for sure. Will fans enjoy it? I think fans are usually the biggest critics. Mm-hmm. So anything that deviates from what they're used to, they kind of have to fight about it and fuss about it. Mm-hmm. But my hope is that I think when companies go in a different direction, that we give them the creative license to do that and give them space to be able to think about their franchises in new ways. I want most franchises at this point to flip things on their heads. Like I would love to see Resident Evil do something really weird and funky in that way. You know, Battlefield is kind of going back to its roots in a good way, right? Like we're seeing games either kind of go back to the things that people really loved about them or change directions in really profound ways. And I'm much more excited about the ability to see this in a new space in a new way.
It's time to shake things up. And speaking of shaking things up, Split Fiction, couch co-op game of the year, obviously, maybe game of the year. Mm-hmm. What a surprise hit. I've been playing it so much. I've been having a really good time. The story is a lot about, you know, how we have fantasy games and sci-fi and like how some people like it really dark and actiony and how some people like it more calm and fun and goofy. And then it really brings in the playfulness of like all these different game mechanics and playing co-op with a friend, I gotta say, so fun. Are you playing it?
I finished it. I did a review on it. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. But it's my game of the year right now. Like this is the game that I think has changed a lot of different discussions around game design, changes what you can do from a 2-player co-op perspective in ways that we've never seen before. Like the thing that I keep coming back to is like this game does so many things well while keeping you involved in the gameplay, keeping you involved in the narrative. And from a mechanics perspective, just does things that are very different than what we've seen. That really keeps you and your co-op partner on your toes. Like, you know, I was playing with a friend of mine, an industry friend, to get the review out. And, you know, we were just like simpatico, just like rocking through it and working and like figuring out things and figuring out puzzles and being like, oh, this is really smart. How do you do that? Oh, let's go over here and try this thing. And it just works. Yeah. So like Hazelight is doing something profound. And I think if they don't get nods for game of the year, I will bum rush a stage somewhere and fight somebody. Because they deserve all the kudos they're going to get for this game.
Oh, I can't wait for all that. And I also think that you notice right away, oh, this is so weird. It's like an element of discovery that I haven't really had in a game in a long time. Mm-hmm. Like at one point I was a hot dog. Like, why was I a hot dog? Or a farting pig.
Right? You know? Like those moments are so good because
but then it gets really serious. Yeah.
Right. It balanced that line of like taking itself super serious and also just not in ways that are really good. And I think, you know, for everything that games like this try to do in previous iterations, you've seen through the games that they have made as a studio, they are also learning. And that part is cool too, because you wind up seeing the lineage of the design process for them get more intricate and get really interesting. So this game is so good. Like, if you're not playing this thing, and it's not that cheap. I mean, it's not that expensive. You can buy one copy and share it with another person to have them play with you. Like, it's a no-brainer of how to play this game and why you should.
Moral of the story, play Split Fiction if you have a chance, guys. It's super fun. And the story's really fun, too.
Yeah.
I really like the characters. And see if you could play with a friend. It's just so great to bring that back. Kahlief, thank you so much. Always so great having you on the show. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your week.
You too. And thank you so much for having me. And shout out to Zoe in Split Fiction. She's the best.
And she's so cool.
She's so good.
She's the best.
She's so good.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Kahlief Adams is creator and host of the Spawn on Me podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Kahlief Adams.
Flawless victory. Continue.
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such a blast bringing you the news, as always. Thank you so much for listening, and shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. And from all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you such an awesome week. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you next week, same time, same place. Thanks for listening.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.
We all have questions about money, but questions about money are gross, right?
Nope.
Your 2 Cents, the podcast. Real people, real conversations about money.
Hi, I'm Alicia McCarville.
And I'm Sylvia Behrens. Join us and our savvy, inspiring guests as we discuss buying a house, getting out of debt, self-care on a budget, and more.
Stream Your 2 Cents, the podcast on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.